gemstone caverns. So our opponent is going to turn 1 us. Hello and welcome, guys. We are here for match 2 with the list that you see on screen right in front of you. I have already gone in detail over the card choices in match 1, so if that's something you're interested in, then go check out match 1. But suffice it to say, we're playing a ton of basic lands, some Karn the Great creators, and Hanweir to go along, and that's all she wrote. Anyways, I will see you guys in the games. Alright, looks like we have our match. And it looks like we might be on the play. Love that. Definitely love that. And we have a hand with a very fast Titan. No Dryad triggering here. We do need to top deck one more land source for this to work out entirely, but obviously this is going to be a keep, so... We could also find an Amulet, and that would lead to a fast Titan as well, so any land here or an Amulet would complete the, I was going to say trifecta, but there's a lot of cards involved here, so I'm not even going to try to finish that sentence. I think we're probably throwing out this Radiant Fountain with the Arboreal Grazer on turn 1 here, and we'll just play Cavern naming Human to force through an Azusa. That way we don't have to put our bounce land into play before we know whether we have an Amulet to go along with it or not. So that's the plan. And also we can use the bounce land to pick up the Radiant Fountain if we decide to do that and can get a little bit of a life buffer that could be useful. Our opponent has mulliganed to 6 cards. We'll play this Grazer out. He can block and gain some life, and this Radiant Fountain can come out and gain some life, and we'll just be gaining all the life. Aether Hub, say what? That's interesting. Another Primeval Titan, okay. Don't know how good that is. Here we'll just name... I don't think our opponent's going to counter our Azusa, so let's just name Giant and get that one out of the way. Azusa. Still don't really know what this Aether Hub actually means, but... Probably replaying the Radiant Fountain, I would think. Passing it back. Did I say Radiant Fountain? The Aether Hub. Maybe I said Aether Hub, I don't know. I'm a little distracted at the moment. Forbidden Orchard. Okay. So maybe our opponent is playing a deck that has reflecting pools, so they can tap a bunch of different colors of mana when they have an Aether Hub in play. I can definitely see that. We can always deal to these little 1/1 spirit tokens our opponent is going to be giving us. And we'll see what our opponent has got going here. Okay, I get it. So this is going to be that Tibalt's Trickery deck that's going to just put an Emrakul into play and kill us. This is one of the new ones that comes along with Kaldheim, and it happens to be a deck that we basically can't beat, so we'll see how game 2 goes. But basically they get to counter their whatever spell they cast here, and that'll let them mill cards from the top, or exile cards from the top of their library until they exile an Emrakul and cast it, or some other big unbeatable spell, like Omniscience. That is an example of a spell that they can use to destroy us with, so let's see if they have anything to go along with this. I don't even think our Titan this upcoming turn would be good enough, assuming we drew the land for it, so... And that's assuming they have nothing to cast. But of course they have Emrakul. Alright, well, this game is over. Basically can't beat this deck. That's interesting. Okay. Alright, guys, so it took me a second to find this, but this is an example of a Tibalt's Trickery deck list, as they are not currently on MTG Goldfish, if you look for the archetype there. This is a deck list by House of Mana MTG that placed 18th in a recent Modern Challenge, and it's definitely a deck that's kind of been going around here. And of course we see the Emrakuls that we got destroyed by before. We see some other big cards like Brilliant Ultimatum and this particular list. The one that we just played against obviously had Omniscience. But basically they play a 5-color mana base for all intents and purposes, and the entire plan is to just cascade a Valiant Outburst or Ardent Plea into Tibalt's Trickery and cast one of these big things and basically just end the game on the spot. And yeah, let me pull up the card in question. Alright, so here's the card. Counter target spell. Choose 1, 2, or 3 at random. Its controller mills that many cards, then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card with a different name than that spell. They may cast that card without paying its mana cost. They then put the exiled cards on the bottom of their library in any order. So they Trickery away one of their cascade spells here, either the Ardent Plea or the Violent Outburst, and instead they're greeted with an Omniscience, or an Ulamog the other kind, or Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. Of course, our opponent was doing this to us on turn 2, thanks to the help of good friend Simeon's Spirit Guide. Of course, enabling something busted. What else would Simeon's Spirit Guide be doing? And yeah, so sideboarding. I mean, I don't think there's anything to change. Alright, well, let's just run it back, I guess. And get killed by turn 2 Trickery again. Alright, so we're on the play again. I mean, that's great and all. This hand doesn't cast a turn 3 Primeval Titan, so we got a mulligan. I mean, this can cast a turn 3 Karn. Probably not good enough, but I don't think we can afford to mulligan this. We could bottom the Karn and instead just try to Titan as fast as possible. I don't know if Karn getting Liquid Metal Coating will actually do anything against our opponent. If we put one of these lands on the bottom, then any land off the top lets us activate Garenbrig to cast a Titan, and we can still cast Karn anyways. So I guess it's arbitrarily correct to be bottoming a bounce land here, but I'm not 100% sure. It may not even matter. Gemstone Caverns. So our opponent is going to turn 1 us. If they have the Trickery, of course. And they kept 7, so that makes me pretty likely to think that they will in fact do that. We'll put in our bounce land here, pick up the forest, pass it back to our opponent, and ask them the question, do you have the Tibalt's Trickery? And if the answer is yes, then I guess we just lose. Yay, fun magic. Aether Hub. I guess it's just so that they can play their Cascade spell whenever they need to. Yeah, so we're getting cascaded in the trickery here, and we'll just be dead. So that's interesting. And what have they hit? Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. Sure thing, and they even get to cast it with a cast trigger. So fun games. Great. Well, that was a fun match. Sad to say that it was so fast, but hopefully you gained some knowledge, because I felt like I did. And yeah, I have nothing else to say. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.